Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever it is. Main card predictions for UFC Fight Night, Gilbert versus Michael Morales. Now, last weekend at UFC 315, correctly predicted 4 out of the 5 main card fights. 2 of them are predicted to a T. Natalia Silva beating Alexa Grasso via unanimous decision, and Arman Zahabi beating Jose Aldo via unanimous decision. Now, we can officially say that we had the Zahabi one correct. Unofficially, Jose Aldo won that fight, but the only one that I genuinely whiffed on. So I instructed the viewer that you could basically bet your uncle that Bilal Muhammad would win via unanimous decision. Now, in hindsight, luckily for us, it is in fact illegal to bet your uncle, because had we done that, we would have one less uncle. But looking forward at UFC Fight Night, Gilbert Burns versus Michael Morales, full main card predictions. Now, before I get into it, just a friendly reminder that if you enjoyed the video, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, the notification bell. All of that really contributes to the growth of this channel. Let's get into it. Starting off the main card, Julian Erosa versus Costa. So Julian Erosa is 9-7 within the UFC, and if we look at Costa, he is 4-2 inside the UFC. This will be Costa's third fight this year, so we're not even at the halfway mark of the year, and Costa will have his third fight. Insane activity. Is it sustainable? Absolutely not. Do we care? No. He's not here for a long time. He's here for a good one. So are we. And with regards to both men and their record, their UFC careers going into this fight, both men are on a 3-fight winning streak. So unfortunately, someone's streak will have to go. When looking at Julian Erosa, if you look at his fights, you're not going to see a lot of technicality. I say he's a brawler. The guy basically looks at defense the same way you and I would look at a user manual and basically just chuck it out of the window. We don't need that. He would genuinely try and headbutt his opponent's hands. That's his form of defense. Solid offense. If we look at Julian striking, a lot of curve shots, you'll see a lot of hooks, you'll see a lot of uppercuts, you'll see a lot of overhands. He is genuinely tough, and he does have a nasty guillotine, which he used to beat Christian Rodriguez, which he used to beat his opponent prior. So, a good solid base for Julian Erosa. If we look at Costa and his way of fighting, loves to utilize his kicks, and he has really good kicks. A good leg kick, a good body kick, a good high kick. Uses his kicks to dictate range. But whenever you get past it and you get into that space, that void, he will also feel comfortable. He has good punches. They're not as good as his kicks, but he has good straight punches. If it gets to the clinch, he'll still do his work. He'll land his strikes in the clinch, his knees, punches, elbows. And if you're able to take Costa down, he will basically end up standing up with relative ease because he scrambles really well. Overall, it just feels like Costa has the better game and has, better credentials wherever this fight takes place. I don't like Julian's defense, even though I like seeing it. I don't like betting on it. So I'm going to take Costa to win this fight. I'm going to say unanimous decision. I don't think he knocks Julian out, even though it could happen. His head kicks are really good. He could knock Julian out. I don't see it. I think he does damage, but he doesn't knock him out. I think he wins via unanimous decision. Then moving on to the next fight on this card, middleweight division, Dustin Stoltzfus versus Nursultan Ruziboev. Now, Dustin Stoltzfus is 3-5 inside of the UFC. I know it's not the best record, but he is always fun to watch. A good fighter that mixes it up well, has good wrestling, has good striking. He used his wrestling when he fought Bruno Ferreira, used his striking when he fought Marc-Andre Barriou, used his submission game when he submitted Punahele Soriano. He is a pressure and volume guy, throws a lot of strikes, likes to constantly move forward, has knockout power. He knocked out Joe Pyfer, which is insane. He is extremely durable, and he likes to brawl. That is the problem. He likes to brawl even though it's to his own detriment. Because Nursultan Ruziboev is 3-1 inside of the UFC. All of his wins via knockout. And all of his wins in the middleweight division, his only loss came to Joaquin Buckley when Nursultan Ruziboev went down to welterweight. This guy is 6'5", like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. This man is massive, an exceptionally tall guy for the middleweight division. He tried to make welterweight, and it just didn't suit him at all. Ended up losing to Joaquin Buckley, and Joaquin somewhat dominated him. And now Nursultan, thankfully decided that he's gonna stay at middleweight where he belongs, because genuinely at middleweight he can be one of the best strikers in a division. That's already a division that is saturated with impressive strikers. An exceptionally tall guy. Basically, if you're that tall, he only uses straight shots because he only needs them. Keeps his opponent at the end of his punches, and it's really difficult to enter against him because he's comfortable fighting off the front foot as well as the back, and he has knockout power basically whether he fights on the front foot or whether he fights on the back foot. A really impressive guy, really impressive striker, and yeah, I'm gonna pick him to win this fight. At middleweight, he's undefeated inside of the UFC. He's really a tall guy, very difficult to prepare for, and very difficult to impose your will on him because he will dictate range, and he has knockout power. He has good timing as well. When he fought Bruno Feia, he caught a kick, knocked him out. When he fought Cedric Dumas, good night. When he fought Eric McConaughey, good night. He's a different specimen. An impressive one at that as well. I'm gonna go Nursultan Ruziboev. This fight is not seeing the judges. Someone's going to bed, and I think it's gonna be Dustin, unfortunately. Then moving on to the next fight, featherweight division, Sodiq Yusuff versus Mairon Santos. Sodiq is 6-3 inside of the UFC, and Mairon Santos is 2-0 inside of the UFC. But is he though? Is he genuinely 2-0 inside of the UFC? Officially, yes. Unofficially, hell no. If we look at the way that they fight, both men are strikers. Sodiq Yusuff likes to fight on the front foot, likes to constantly move forward, a pressure fighter. But even though it's pressure, it's not volume. He's not going to throw a lot of strikes, a lot of punches, a lot of kicks. He's going to methodically pick his strikes and basically time you the way that he would like to. A really sophisticated striker, has good leg kicks, has good scrambling whenever he gets taken down. We saw that in the Alex Caceres fight. Overall, Sodiq Yusuff is really impressive. If we look at Mairon Santos, he's also a striker who has a lot of power, has a nasty front kick down the middle, which he's gonna have to use to basically just keep Sodiq at bay, to prevent Sodiq from constantly just moving forward. Now, Mairon also likes to fight on the front foot. He is comfortable off the back foot. He knocked out Khan Offley on the back foot, but he does his best work when he's fighting on the front foot. Unfortunately, I don't think he's gonna fight on the front foot. Sodiq Yusuff fought Diego Lopez on the front foot. Now, even though Sodiq got knocked out, if Sadiq's gonna walk forward against Diego, he's gonna walk forward irrespective of who the opponent's gonna be. And with regards to Mairon Santos, he has, as I've said, he has genuine power. Has probably one of the most brutal leg kicks you will ever see in the sport, where he genuinely wants to separate the lower part and the upper part of your shin. He wants to kick through your leg. Some of the nastiest leg kicks you'll see in the division. And with regards to his punches, has a solid jab, has a solid cross. He'll use his hooks, but he does his best work off of his jab and has a stiff jab. We saw it in the Francis Marshall fight. By the way, he lost that fight. Okay, this is not my opinion. This is an objective fact. To the extent where Joe Rogan thought he lost that fight, DC thought he lost that fight. Even his coach, Eric Nixick, going into the third round said, listen, Mairon, you're going to have to knock Francis Marshall out because you're down 2 rounds. This is why you don't really pay a lot of attention to records. It's not a fair reflection of how good a fighter is. Even though I think Mairon Santos is really good, I think this is just too early. It's the same with Carlos Prates versus Ian Gary. I'm going to pick Sodiq Yusuff to win this fight due to the fact that the only people that Sodiq Yusuff has lost to within the UFC, Arnold Allen, who is top 7 featherweight at the moment, Edson Barbosa, who is one of the deadliest strikers ever within the UFC, whether it's featherweight or lightweight, and Diego Lopez. So those are the men that Sodiq has lost to. Mairon Santos lost to Francis Marshall. It's just a different level. With regards to experience, Sodiq has the upper hand. With regards to just technicality, I think Sodiq has the upper hand. And with regards to overall game, I think Sodiq has the upper hand. I think Sodiq might be able to take Mairon down. I don't think the opposite applies. So I'm going to pick Sodiq Yusuff to win this fight, and I'm going to go unanimous decision. Now, moving on to co-main event. In the light heavyweight division, Rodolfo Bellato versus Paul Craig. Now, Rodolfo Bellato has 2 wins, 0 losses, and 1 draw within the UFC. But does he really though? Does he really have 0 losses inside of the UFC? Debatable. Against Paul Craig, who has 9 wins, 9 losses, 1 draw inside of the UFC. Now, this is the old striker versus grappler match where we're gonna see Rodolfo Bellato. He wants the fight playing out on the feet, wants to knock out Paul Craig due to the fact that he has better striking, he has more power, and he is just way more durable. With regards to Paul Craig, complete opposite. He wants the fight playing out on the mat where he can basically submit Rodolfo Bellato. Keep in mind, on the mat is the most dangerous place you could be at, whether you are on top or on bottom against Paul Craig. This is a Paul Craig who has a submission victory over Magomed Ankalaev, which by the way is the only defeat Magomed Ankalaev has ever suffered in his professional mixed martial arts career. Paul Craig is one of the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners inside the UFC right now. And yeah, could basically submit you from bottom, from top. That's why Bo Nickel didn't want to take him down. Now if we look at Paul Craig, he's moving back to light heavyweight, where he's done most of his work inside the UFC. His last 3 fights, all of them, he ended up losing. But that was at middleweight. Fought Brendan Allen at middleweight, lost. Fought Caio Borralho at middleweight, lost. And then fought Bo Nickel at middleweight and lost. I did, however, think that Paul did improve with regards to striking when he fought Bo Nickel. I didn't think he looked that bad. I thought it was more of a blemish with regards to Bo's performance rather than Paul Craig's performance, if that makes sense. But now he's moving back to light heavyweight, and we'll see what happens. However, I'm going to pick Rodolfo Bellato to win this fight. Just think that he isn't easy to take down. Paul will genuinely struggle taking Rodolfo down. Jimmy Crute tried to take Rodolfo down and he struggled. Rodolfo was able to stand up with relative ease and defended takedowns as well. He has a lot of power. He is a big guy. And yeah, he has good cardio as well. He has a lot of power. I think he'll be able to time Paul Craig. Has good calf kicks as well, which will also make it difficult once he start landing those calf kicks the same way he did against Jimmy Crute. It'll be difficult for Paul Craig to actually use the front leg to shoot off of and try and get a takedown. I just think that this is a bad matchup for Paul Craig. I think Rodolfo Bellato wins. I think he wins via TKO. I'm going to say second round. Now moving on to the main event. Gilbert Burns versus Michael Morales inside of the welterweight division. Now Gilbert is 15-8 inside of the UFC, a total of 23 fights, which is insane, against Michael Morales, who is relatively still inexperienced inside of the UFC. 5 fights, 5 wins, undefeated in his professional career. Now if we look at Michael Morales, an impressive striker, predominantly a boxer with impressive punching, whether he is on the back foot, whether he is on the front foot, it is equally devastating. Has good straight shots, has good hooks, has a lot of explosive and knockout power, uses leg kicks as well, and he is really impressive. With regards to his grappling, also has good grappling defense. We saw it in the Neil Magny fight where he knocked out Neil Magny with a spinning back elbow off of basically breaking from a grappling transition. This was by far the hardest pick to make due to the fact that I think there's a lot of intricacies that goes into picking this fight. And I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to pick Gilbert Burns to win this fight. Due to the fact that Gilbert has had 23 fights inside of the UFC. He has seen every stylistic matchup you can think of. There's nothing that Michael will bring to the table that Gilbert hasn't seen before. However, the opposite doesn't apply. I think Gilbert could bring something to the table that Michael hasn't seen before. Gilbert Burns is either the best or the second best grappler within the division. He has a strong wrestling background, has a massive Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background, and we've seen Gilbert fight top level strikers. We saw him fight Stephen Thompson, what did Gilbert do? Basically just revert back to his wrestling. We saw the same when he fought Jorge Masvidal. We saw the same when he fought Jack Della Maddalena. Now, even though he lost to Jack Della Maddalena, who is currently the welterweight champion, Gilbert was dominating that fight up until the point where he got finished. Jack was able to stand up from a takedown. Gilbert panicked, shot for another takedown, and basically just ran into one of Jack Della's knees, which, was the, I'd say, the start of the end, the beginning of the end. So, with that being said, Gilbert is also dangerous on the feet, has a lot of power with regards to his striking. We also saw that when he fought Kamaru Usman, he was able to take Kamaru Usman, knock him down. When he fought Hamzat Chimaev, had Hamzat in a lot of trouble. Gilbert was the first person to basically show that Hamzat was human. So, and if we look at Gilbert's fighting style, I wouldn't say it is a strike, I wouldn't say it is a grappler, I'd basically say durable. Due to the fact that Durino literally translates to little tough guy. He is exceptionally tough. When he fought Sean Brady, I thought initially that I was going to pick Michael Morales. And listen, if it was a 3-round fight, I pick Gilbert Burns every day of the week. But the fact it was a 5-round fight made me hesitant to pick Gilbert Burns because I don't know whether his cardio will be able to hold up. However, looking back at the Sean Brady fight, I mean, Sean Brady is one of the biggest volume guys, pressure guys in the division, and Gilbert's cardio held up. So I think against Michael Morales, who isn't that much of a volume guy, I think Gilbert would be able to hold his own with regards to his cardio. I think he'll be able to take Michael down and grapple with him. And I think Michael will be in a lot of dangerous situations, which I don't think he's ready for, to be quite honest. Even though Michael ended up beating Neil Magny, I think once again this is a very Carlos Prates, Ian Gary type of thing that we're looking at. Yeah, you beat Neil Magny, and he is somewhat of the gatekeeper that once a prospect ends up beating Neil Magny, we somewhat take him seriously. So, props to Michael Morales for beating Neil Magny. But I think after that, fighting someone like a Jeff Neal, someone that is in between the Neil Magnys and like the top 6, top 5 of the welterweight division. Because I think Gilbert Burns is basically the welterweight version of Jared Cannonier, where if you beat Gilbert, then you can go on to fight the top 5 and genuinely be able to beat the top 5. However, if you lose to Gilbert, then the top 5 is way out of your league for now. So I'm gonna pick Gilbert Burns to win this fight, and I'm gonna go via unanimous decision. I think Gilbert out wrestles Michael Morales. I think he out grapples him. I think he wins on points, and I think we're gonna see the first halt in Michael Morales's UFC career, the first roadblock, and I don't think he's gonna be able to just avoid it and run through it. But those are basically my predictions. This is where this video comes to an end, the conclusion. Let me know in the comment section. I would really appreciate it. Do you agree with the main event? Do you think Gilbert Burns is gonna win that fight, or do you think Michael Morales will stay undefeated? I would really appreciate that. Have a lovely day, and I'll catch you in the next one.